In today's video, we're going to cover 7 things you absolutely need in order to be a top scholarship applicant. So whether you are actively planning or applying to schools right now, or you've already been accepted or enrolled, there is one question that always remains, and that is, how am I going to pay for it? Well, the answer is scholarships, and this is your ultimate scholarship prep guide. If you're new here, welcome to Paid for College, where we're all about helping you to avoid crazy amounts of student loan debt. We've been doing this since 2018, actually, and we've helped over 7,000 students and families avoid over $4.5 million of student loan debt. And we've partnered with over 20 organizations. So we're excited for you to join us on our mission to create a future generation of debt-free scholars. So let's go. The very first thing that you need in order to be a top scholarship applicant is organization. There are countless studies that talk about the positive correlation between productivity and organization. It also is the top difference between a scholarship winner and one who is not. And that is simply because organization helps you in 4 key ways. 1, it helps you to reduce distractions. There is nothing more critical to a scholarship applicant than eliminating distractions. You want to stay focused on the goal. You want to make sure that you have everything in one place. It's really hard to do that if you're not organized. The second thing is it improves your time management. We know you're busy, and so we understand that scholarships can seem like something that's just something I'll do when I have time. But when you have the ultimate organization, then that means you actually will have the time in order to apply for scholarships, as many scholarships, even in a shorter amount of time than you would if you were not organized. The third way that organization helps is that it also helps you make decisions. So there are countless scholarships to apply to, and you might need to know, am I eligible for this? Is the criteria right for me? Am I a good fit for the scholarship? The more organized that you are, the more you'll be quicker to answer that question. And lastly, organization also allows for you to reduce stress levels. Listen, paying for school can be stressful. And when you know that you are looking for free money to pay for school, it could heighten the stress levels. But if you're organized, you'll be able to see how much you've applied to and also track how much you need remaining and also how much you have won. So the number one thing that you need to do is I want you to create that folder. Create a scholarship folder where you can put all your materials in that. And all the materials that we're going to talk about today, I want you to put in that folder. So that way you'll stay organized and you know exactly where to reach everything. And we know what we're talking about because we know there's countless times where students are just searching on their computer for that untitled document or that document they haven't seen or even looked at in about a couple weeks or so. So let's just make sure everything is in one place to help you get the maximum results. The second thing that we need to be a top scholarship applicant is an email address. Now you're probably thinking, okay, I have that, but there are a couple of things that we want to cover about email addresses to make sure that you're a top scholarship applicant. The very first thing is we know that majority of scholarships are going to be offered online, and therefore they're going to either notify you online or ask for an email address. Here is where most students actually have difficulty. One, they might use their school email address. So whether you're currently enrolled in school or not, you might be using an old email address that you either have not looked at in quite some time, 2, you don't do well in looking at, or 3, you're using a school email address that could possibly expire as soon as you leave that institution. So you want to make sure that you are using a personal email address. So that could be a Gmail account, a Yahoo account, an AOL account, an iCloud account. Whatever that is, you want to make sure that you have a personal email address. Tip number 2 with email addresses is that check the name. It should be a professional name for your email address. Now, this doesn't necessarily make or break your opportunities in terms of scholarship winning, but it does reflect who you are as a candidate. And so we want to make sure that you're at least putting your first or your last name. If your name is popular, then sure, you can add some numbers after it or stick in a middle initial if you want. But you should have a professional email address that won't raise an eyebrow when a scholarship organization tends to see it. So number 2 is create a personal email address. Moving on to number 3, the third thing that you need is your most recent transcript. Most scholarships are going to ask for your academic records or your most recent academic records, which would be a transcript. There are 2 different types of transcripts. There is an unofficial and an official transcript. With an unofficial transcript, this is something that you can just download simply through accessing your student account or asking it from your counselor or advisor from your school. This is not something that needs to be verified or have to have a signature of proof that it is finalized. It is just your most recent academic record. Now, with an official transcript, this is slightly different because you will need to have this verified. This official transcript basically means it's not something that you can just go and download from your computer, but it is something that you have to request from your advisor or counselor, who will need to put it in an envelope and seal it, which means it could have a seal on the actual document or a seal on the actual closure of the envelope. This is an envelope you do not open. You actually have to submit it with your scholarship application sealed. Okay, so make sure that you are understanding the difference here. Unofficial transcript and official transcript, which one are they asking for? We recommend that you have copies of both. So today, number 3 is going to get a copy of your unofficial transcript and save it in your number 1 folder. And 2 is to request official transcripts so that you'll have those ready to go as well. We recommend requesting between 4 or 5 official transcripts so that you will be able to apply without an issue. Okay, moving right along to number 4, and this is all about recommendations. Now, recommendations can really make or break a scholarship applicant, so you want to take some time here and just noting who will be someone that you can ask to write you a recommendation on your behalf for the scholarship organizations. Now, there are 3 people that we recommend that you should have. One would be a counselor, your school counselor or advisor. And so you want to make sure that you have that. Most scholarships might ask for that, especially if you're in your high school years. The second would be a teacher or a professor. Now, your teacher professor should be aligned with what you're majoring in. So if you are studying STEM, then you should ask for a STEM teacher or professor. If you're studying English or the arts, then you should find a teacher or professor who would be able to write you a recommendation from just your ability in those courses, or just to have recommendations of how you're doing in those courses. And then lastly, we have a mentor or a service leader. So this can be a community service leader. It can also be a mentor of yours that's just going to talk about your leadership style or just how you are involved in the community or just your character overall. Again, the scholarship organizations want to know more about you and who they're awarding. So you want to take some time here. I really stress this because many scholarship applicants will be good on paper. They've done everything else. And when it came down to the recommendation just fell flat. And so you want to make sure that you're asking the right people who are going to be able to put you in the best light. Now, if you're having troubles with finding a recommender, you're thinking, I don't even know who I could ask, then this is your time to start to build some relationships here. Some suggestions would be to schedule an appointment with your recommender or a person that you're considering to be a recommender, just to tell them more about yourself, what you're planning to do, what your aspirations are, And then they can also share some reservations that they may have that you could address with them, or also help them feel more comfortable about writing your recommendation. So even if you don't have person into mind right now, it's not too late for you. You can make efforts into creating relationships that will be serving as a good recommender. So spend some time, write down 3 people, and then you're going to ask them. Here's the thing. You want to ask them, can you be a positive, that's the key word there, a positive recommender for me? If they have hesitation at all, or if they're seeming like, that's not the right person, you need to find someone who can say, sure, absolutely, I can write that. Now, you're probably wondering, why do I need to ask for that specifically? Because just asking someone to write a recommendation doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a positive one. So you want to make sure that you're asking for a positive recommendation. So that is number 4, positive recommenders. Speaking of recommendations, if you have not subscribed or liked this video yet and you've made it this far, what are you waiting for? We would love for you to be part of this community. Please like, share, subscribe so that we can make more videos like this to help you to avoid crazy student loan debt. Let's get back. Okay. The 5th thing that you need in order to be a top scholarship applicant is a resume. Yes, we want to look at a list of your accomplishments, a list of your activities. This is very important for scholarship organizations who just want to get an overview of all the things that make you you. So do you have any hobbies? Do you have any interest? How have you been studying or diving deep into the discipline or the major that you want to go into? All of those things should be on your resume. And so your resume is your marketing. It is your marketing piece of paper to say, this is what I've done, this is what I've achieved, and this is where I'm going. Okay, that's what your resume should say. If you are listening to me right now and you're saying, oh, a resume, right? And you maybe have not looked at your resume in quite some time. This is the time to do so. This is the time to get it reviewed. This is the time to add things. This is the time to edit things. This is the time to take things off. All of the things, you want to make sure you have a strong one-pager that shows exactly who you are and what you've been doing. Okay, we're down to our last 2. Number 6. The number 6 thing that you will need in order for you to be a top scholarship applicant. Essay, you got it right. It is essay. Now you're probably saying, oh, the last one was tough and now I got to write something. Yes and no. Well, 89% of all scholarships are going to ask for a written essay. And this written essay is for them to just really have a distinction of who are they rewarding and why. So there are a couple of questions that you will commonly see for essays, and you want to make sure that you're prepared for them. So the very first question that you absolutely need to know is you want to write about what are your career aspirations and why? Why are you motivated to pursue this major? What do you hope to accomplish in life, and what are your career aspirations? The second thing is going to be talking about leadership. What have you done over the last 4 years? We just talked about your resume. What has been a point of growth for you, or how have you been challenged in leadership? You really want to start to iron that out too in an essay too, to kind of just show them how you've been involved and what challenges you have faced and overcome, or how you have grown through the process. Thirdly, you want to talk about community service. What service have you done? What is community to you, right? And how have you served that community, or what ways have you served or done something beyond yourself? How have you contributed to another cause, another person, another business, another organization? That is up to you to decide, but you want to think about this more about what have you learned, and how can what you've learned actually influence how you're going to be moving through the rest of your life. Okay. And then the last thing that you want to write about is a challenge or adversity that you faced. So they want to hear about something that you've overcome, or something that you're currently working through. What is the grit or determination that you want to share with your scholarship organization? So you need to have all 4 of those essays. Now, All essays usually are about 500 words. So you want to really start thinking about this. Like, how am I going to share all of this? How do I put this into an essay? What would I put into my essay? What community service would I talk about? Project would I talk about? Or what struggle would I want to talk about? Or why am I pursuing this major, right? Why do I want to go to school at all? Those are all things that you should be thinking about right now. Okay, it's important to also realize that not every scholarship is going to ask for a written scholarship. Some might even ask for a video scholarship, which is basically what I'm doing with you now, is that you are going to record yourself sharing the answer to whatever the question is, which most likely will be one of those 4 topics that we just covered. So as long as you have the written piece down, then it should be fairly easy for you to now record yourself responding to those video essays. So we want to make sure that if you are not keen on writing, well, I highly recommend that you try to dive in to writing, getting it reviewed, getting special assistance with your writing for these essays, because as I said, majority of scholarships are going to ask for a written essay, but there are some scholarships that do require a video essay, so you do have opportunity there. And now we are on our last one. The last thing that you need in order to be a top scholarship applicant is a tracker. Yes. So we've done all the things, right? And most scholarship applicants, they say, oh yes, I've applied for multiple school scholarships. We hear this all the time. I've applied to so many scholarships and I haven't heard from any of them, and I haven't won as much as I thought I was going to win. I'm not quite sure what's going on, right? And then when you ask them, like, oh, which scholarships have you applied for? It's kind of like crickets, right? And that's simply because there is no way that they've tracked their scholarships. So you want to make sure that you're tracking your scholarships. Now, there's multiple things and multiple ways that you can track your scholarships, but you should be having a couple of things in mind. You should be having the name of your scholarship, the deadline of that scholarship, the amount award of that scholarship, if it's listed. And then you might want to talk about what did you need for those scholarships. When are they planning to announce the winner for those scholarships? And lastly, what is the contact information of that scholarship organization in case you have questions or just want to follow up on the status of your application? All of these things are very important. So I don't know if you've noticed, but we have a little book over here that says that you are worth the effort. And this is actually our scholarship planner. Our scholarship planner, where you're able to go through and you're able to track and set goals for every month for your scholarship applications. And so if you're interested in having that, I'll put that link in the description below. But even if you don't get this planner, you want to track your scholarships. It is vital to your success as a scholarship applicant. Well, that is it, everyone. Those are the 7 things, and all 7 of them are laid out here. And you want to make sure that you've done all 7. So that's the end of our video today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please go ahead and share your support. Make sure you share this video with someone who you think it could be beneficial for. Also, I want to know how we can best help you. So put in the comments below, what do you think that you'll struggle with out of these 7? What are the things that you find will be most difficult for you and that you would like us to do a separate video on to dive in a little deeper? Okay, until next time, stay debt free.